for him. You have attended a lot of his live concerts also, no?
Yes. Yes.
Can you please sing a little bit?
One song.
Please.
So, singing is like such a
One song.
one song.
Could you please?
You can say something, then I'll think what to sing.
You said about the recordings, you were saying that he has recorded so many. It's true. Perhaps it is not an exaggeration to say that Balamurali, as far as I know and read, perhaps the only singer has sung most of the Tyagaraja Krutis. And as far as I could count, out of 722 compositions what I have listed, nearly about 413 songs are available in media today. That's close to about 55%. And when he sang, actually his idiom of presentation of Tyagaraja compositions is unique. That means he is able to mirror the mood of the composer and able to able to show it to the listener and take the listener to the doorstep of Tyagaraja and experience that what was going on in Tyagaraja's mind at the time of composition was made. I believe that he is truly a gateway of Tyagaraja, no doubt about that.
Even the mistakes which commonly people make. Recently somebody was telling Jnanam Osagarada. So can't you give Jnanam? So Jnanam Osagarada Ajnanam Osagarada they'll sing. And one Kerala musician was doing Naraval. Naraval is when you take one line and repeat it again and again. So Paramat Mudu, Jivat Mudu, Padinalugu Lokam. So this Padinalugu Lokam, one person was actually singing Paramat Mudu, Jivat Mudu, Padinalu Kilo. And doing Naraval on that, say again and again, same line. That Balamurali sir, maybe how he sings correct. Suddenly when he sang a Tyagaraja Kriti, oh, even if we don't know Telugu, because of the Sanskrit element in that, suddenly the Sahityam becomes very clear. And these things did not happen.
Very, very true. Even if you take an example, a very popular composition of Tyagaraja in Karahara Priya, for example, you take Prakkala Nilabadi. So,
most people sing Pakkala, no?
Prakkala Nilabadi. Then Tyagaraja is telling himself, look, I mean, look at how beautiful it is. Both Sita and Lakshmana are standing either side of Rama and how beautifully they are worshipping. Iru Prakkala Nilabadi. Then the Anupallavi goes, Chukkala Rayuni Momu Gerugala. So that's the Sita, whose face is as resplendent as the moon, and the Saumitri, how they are serving Rama. But you need to sing the Pallavi after completing the second line of Anupallavi. But what we hear some often is, Sudati Sitamma Ramani Kiru. Again they repeat Sudati Sitamma. That means it gives a wrong meaning. Ramani Kiru Sudati becomes. That means Rama has two wives. So even that error, it doesn't happen when he sings, which we sometimes we listen happening.
Even Okka Mata, Okka Bana, Okka Bal, in Rama's case, one word was enough. And one arrow was enough. If he fires one arrow, it will never miss. And Okka Bharya, one wife was enough. So Balamurali sir had naughty side to him also. So when it came to the Okka Bana song, he would say, Okka Bana means, you think Rama fired only one arrow whole life? No, one arrow at a time. So that applied to the Mata and Bharya also. So that is his way of interpreting. I'll just sing one line from a Purandadasa song, because again Balamurali said his own composition is one department. The music he gave to the lyrics of other Vagyakaras. Then he would just shed the flamboyant, because one main difference I find as a singer myself, if I sing a Tyagaraja Kriti, Tyagaraja was a devotee, he was expressing his devotion, bhakti towards Rama through his compositions. But he never imagined that he would sit on a stage with a violin and mridangam and sing these compositions to impress people, get applause, get money. It was never there at all. While Balamuralikrishna was 100% a performer, and the energy in most of his compositions, or many of his compositions, reflect the fact that they are meant to be sung on a stage to impress the people. In fact, there is a Varnam in Amritavarshini, where A Bala Gopala, where the Sahityam says, I hope people will hear my music and shout Sabash. That is the lyrics of the Varnam. But when he approached a Purandaradasa or Bhadrasala Ramadasa or Kaivara Amara Narayana, Jayadeva, Maharaja Swadhitirunal, Narayana Tirtha, just whole list of Sadasiva Brahmendra, Annamacharya, goes on and on. All these composers, he would not take the lyrics and decide, okay, I'm going to tune this in Kalyani. He'd never think before. He'd just look at the lyrics, suppose it's a Purandaradasa song, he'd just go on looking at the lyrics and try to evoke the spirit of Purandaradasa, which for a normal person it might be impossible or difficult, but for him it was like he had a hotline to the spirits of all these people. I have seen it, I've physically seen it happen in front of me, and I'm not exaggerating. So, Nara Janma Bandaga, if you are born as a human being, Nalige Iddaga, if you have a tongue in your mouth, Krishna ena Bharade, can't you just say Krishna? Krishna Bharade is like Krishna and the Parampara, like that. So, it is not the ragam which is important, it is the tune for these lyrics. So, Narajanma Bandaga, Nalige Idaga, Krishna yana Bharade, Dariya Nadevaga. Dariya Nadevaga, when you are walking along the road, Bharava Horuvaga. Bharava Horu, when you are lifting a heavy weight. Krishna yana Bharade. When you are walking, it's not like in the morning you have to get up at 4 o'clock, have a shower, do puja and sing and say Krishna. When you are doing so many things, when you are walking along the road, when you are lifting a heavy weight, when you are putting tambulam, when you are putting on perfume, when you are enjoying with a nice lady, when you are hugging and kissing a small baby, anytime, can't you just say Krishna? That is a Purandaradasa song. The way he has given life to the lyrics of Purandaradasa, and especially when we hear the same lyrics of Bhadrasala Ramadasa or Annamacharya or Jayadeva, the same lyrics tuned by somebody else, then we see how faithful to the spirit of the composer Balamuralikrishna has been. Because you can overload something with ornamentation and just snuff out the spirit of the lyrics. While he really, it's like shining a light on the lyrics, and they glow, adorned by the clothing of the music which he gives. And I'm a Malayali who speaks Malayalam and English. He is a pure Telugu? He's a Telugu who speaks Telugu and Kannada. I mean, what more do you want to appreciate Carnatic music? So it's you're so privileged that what I get through Google, you know already when you just hear the Sahityam in Kannada or Telugu. And pronunciation wise, sometimes people say, oh, you're imitating Balamurali, they tell me. So one of the main issues of imitating is, he was one of the few Carnatic musicians who would close his mouth when he sang the letter If you just listen to any Carnatic musician, male or female, very few you would find they Sarvam Brahmamayam. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Mostly people would sing Sarvam Brahmamayam or some other sound. He was, and even his recordings from, if you hear 1950 and 60, he would also not close his mouth. It became more and more chiseled and polished. Like if you listen to Amitabh Bachchan speak from 1970s to 80s to right now, the enunciation becomes sharper and sharper, and just when he does Kaun Banega Crorepati and some participant is there, what is your name? The lady says Lakshmi. Lakshmi. just the way that word shines like a diamond in his mouth, the same thing happened to lyrics in any language in Balamurali sir's mouth. So, something else. Questions? Question time or?
When you are talking about the tunesmith Balamurali, you are right. He has tuned compositions of many composers. Nearly about 80 to 90 composers. If you look at his entire works or singing for last 40-50 years, you would see the compositions of about 80 to 90 composers, including Swatitharan Maharaj. Being coming from the lineage of Swatitharan Maharaj, you have seen the traditionally tuned songs and also some of these songs tuned by Balamurali sir. What is the main, how do you contrast these two things?
I find that, to my mind at least, Balamurali sir has, as I said, tried to access the spirit of Swatitharan. Not only Swat, any other composer, while it's a big grey area because the earlier people, they never told this is the original tune. This was modified by Muttaya Bhagavatar. This was totally composed fresh by Muttaya Bhagavatar. This was by Mushri. This was by Semangudi. So the whole thing is one grey mass and we have to take what we like. And many compositions have been just put in some tune which is an existing, like we have Akshaya Linga Vibho. This is Swatitharan song. Bhakta Parayana Mama. So if you play it on an instrument, it will sound like it could be Akshay Linga. Well, Balamurali said his tunes, and one thing about a Vageyakara, Vak is lyrics, Geya is music. Somebody who is a poet is different, somebody who is a music composer is different. Well, for a Vageyakara, this is what fascinates me about Balamuralikrishna maximum. More than his singing or voice range or brilliance or anything, the Vageyakara aspect where the marriage between the lyrics and music. Whatever he sang, the tune is the music for those lyrics. While we can just write an entire book only with his lyrics, with removing the music completely. And similarly, we can play all his songs on an instrument where we can't hear the lyrics, but still it will be so good musically speaking. Like his Tillanas for Tillana Dadradin, Tadaradani Nadridum, Nadridum Dim Nana, Tajanu Dimita, Janu Dimita, Tarikatacham, Tanitacham, Tanitacham, Tanita, Tatarikitaka, Titarikitaka, Tom Tarikitakanam, Tarikitaka, Tatarikitaka, Titarikitakum, Tarikitakanam, Tarikitakum. So this is no lyrics at all, and you play it on an instrument also, it will sound nice, though it has no lyrical value. Swatitharan has composed Hindustani compositions also, and Jamuna Kinare or Aaj Aaye Sham Mohan. These are songs. Now, of course, it's a fashion to sing even Marathi abhangs and stuff in Carnatic concerts. By 1950s, Balamurali sir already started singing Hindi bhajans. In fact, he used to say, you know, everything I did first. Then people criticize me. Now they are all doing same thing. I only did. He says even musicians were supposed to be so arrogant and aloof and superior that if you sang something and people applauded, you were supposed to just go to the next song. And when Balamurali sir, as a young boy, he acknowledged the applause and thanked them by doing namaskaram. They said, see, he's so cheap, he's doing namaskaram. So performing for applause is not cheap, but acknowledging is cheap. You know, so like that, so many things which we take for granted now. Even T.V. Gopalakrishnan sir, who is his contemporary, Carnatic jazz and or singing Jugalbandis, 2 raga pallavis, multiple tala, everything these people have done probably several decades before others have done, and they were criticized for that. So which many people don't, even I discovered so much more after I joined him. I personally am not a big fan of pallavis in multiple ragas. So Balamurali said, at that time I wanted to do something different. I did, and I chucked it, I trashed it actually. Now others are doing what I trashed. So like, but he was always in a quest. In fact, I find it very strange sitting and talking about him. I've had the privilege to give at least 150, 200 lectures about him or his compositions. Several of them with him sitting in the front row. So it is I felt like a research scholar where my subject was a living entity sitting in front of me. And some of these videos are there on YouTube also, where I am talking about his compositions with him in the audience. But this is the first time I'm speaking about him when he's no longer alive. And I normally have a self-effacing, soft kind of personality. But when I speak about Balamuralikrishna, I feel very, very confident. I can make a statement about a song and I say, yes, this is what, if you don't believe me, you ask him. Because I've given the lecture in his presence. So now I feel kind of insecure from that point of view. And Balamurali sir, as I said, modesty was never one of his strong points. So he would say, I'm the only musician who won President's Award for Best Playback Singer, Best Classical Musician, and Best Film Music Director. Maybe others have got, but I know I have, like that he used to say. So in his immodest memory, I'll pay an immodest tribute because it's time for questions. So I don't know whether somebody else did, but I've had the privilege of singing with him. I've had the privilege of playing veena accompaniment for his singing, and I've had the privilege of singing with him accompanying me on the viola. So that is, normally I don't make statements like, but this is just like a hello to him. See, I'm carrying on the Murali tradition of saying, I did. Since I don't have to do regularly, this is just a one-off thing. So we have 10 minutes to go, and if people have questions, you are most welcome.
I have a request. This short song, I don't know who the composer, I think it's a folk melody. We listened to it at his concert in the 80s, only once, and it comes something like the Tumpita Poovu, Ganga Jalamu. If you can sing it for us.
Yeah, just one line. So actually he is making fun of Lord Shiva. For his puja rituals, you have to have special flower. So the whole song is about yechil. Yechil, you know yechil, what? If you touch with your mouth, it becomes polluted. I don't think, since the Westerners don't have yechil, I don't think there's a word in English for yechil. so if you engil is in Telugu. Angel. So he says, Eme Seturalinga. It's like, what, yeah, Shiva? He's asking, for your puja, Tummi Puvulu, you have to have these particular flowers, but they are the yechil of the bee, not the birds and the bees, of the butterflies and the bees. Then you have to have Ganga Jalam for Abhishekam, but that is the yechil of the fish and the frogs and all those things. Then Eme, what is the big deal about? So, Emi Setura Linga, Emi Setura Ganga Udakamu Techiniku Linga Pujalu Cheta Mante. Then he'll make it very dramatic. Linga Pujalu Cheta Mante. So, also. Ganga nunna chapakappa engilantunna dilinga mahanubhava madeva shambho in Telugu accent madeva shambho malinga murthy emi setura linga Emi Setura Akshaya Ulapa. That same tune comes for flowers and water and milk, fresh milk, which is the yechil of the calf. So that is made by Mahadeva Shambho, no? the composer, it's again
I think this is a kind of a traditional song.
traditional song. I asked him once and he said the composer's name is Mahadeva Shambho. Mic. You have a mic for the questions? No, but for the video they need. Smile, you are on camera.
Okay, I can't have a forced smile, I'll have to be natural. Well, I was fortunate to have interviewed him years ago. I'm a journalist and also an author. So he was, so I asked him one or two questions. I said, normally people don't sing film songs, you know, the Carnatic musicians. And also, is it because they get influenced or they're not very confident about themselves? So he said, yeah, what your guess is right. They're not very confident because they think, you know, it gets a little, it interferes with their classical singing. And another question I would like to ask you is, probably it will sound a little harsh. You think the media was the critics were a little harsh about him, towards him, because they didn't bring out his talent, his creative ability, his creative genius, and also the voice, which has been his absolute, I think, uniqueness about his voice. So you think the media has not been doing justice to him even when he was alive?
That happens with everybody, starting from Purandaradasa or Tyagaraja. There are always people who, if somebody, I'm from Kerala, in Malayalam we say that only if a tree is laden with fruit, like mango tree, people throw stones to get the mangoes. So if there is no mango, nobody would throw a stone. So naturally, when the value is more, the criticism is always more. Partly from people who are not evolved enough or strong enough to understand, then partly from people who are jealous. So there's a Purandaradasa song called Ninda Karira Beku. You would definitely know. When he is attracted to the lyrics very much, he would translate it to Telugu also. Ninda Karira Beku, the Purandaradasa made 600 years ago, before media came. People who criticize us, Beku, we want. Then the example he gives, at that time Narendra Modi had not come with Swachh Bharat. So people did not have toilets. So people had to do their business outside, outside the house. And the street pigs would come and eat this up. So he would say, without these pigs eating this, S word, we couldn't walk outside. Like that, we need the pigs who criticize us, because each time they criticize us, they would be eating the waste of our papams. So each time somebody criticizes us, it is good for us, because they are taking over that much of our sins. So and in his composition, actually Purandaradasa has written Ninda Karira Beku, Nindalo Mopu, he's made the same song in Telugu. So he's added at the end, it's a prayer to God. He says, I can take care of my friends, but I pray to you, please take care of my enemies, because I need them to make me stronger and stronger. And not only with Balamuralikrishna, Tyagaraja Swami, his own worst enemy was his own brother. But who talks about Tyagaraja's brother now? We all talk about Tyagaraja. So what lives on is the good deeds we do. And for me, definitely good deeds he has done in music specifically will definitely live long after all of us are gone also. So he was very, very bring it on to his critics. He loved it actually. So he says, unless we have something, people won't even talk about you. So that was his view about criticism. I find another of my big heroes is Sri M.D. Ramanathan, who was also criticized mercilessly during his lifetime. But if he sang before 10 people when he was alive, now his audience, he died in 1984, his audience has increased exponentially. Now so many YouTube uploads are there and you can see the number of views, it just keeps growing. So I find that criticism was there, but he definitely reveled in that. Of course he reveled in praise also. He loved it when the adulation, and that also he liked, but he enjoyed the criticism. In fact, he deliberately do something. His first time he sang in Bombay, it was a big concert, and during Taniyamartanam, people went as the gentlemen, as we say in Kerala, the men visited the little boy's room. So little boy's room during Taniyavartanam. So he stopped the concert, DVG was on the Mridangam, and he said, I'll give a 10-minute break. You go out, go to the loo, have tea and come. And second half started with Taniyavartanam. And then the newspapers just blasted him saying, oh, Balamurali broke tradition by giving intermission, which is not part of a Carnatic concert. Then he announced, henceforth, every single concert I will give an intermission, even if I sing only for half an hour. 15 minutes I will give an intermission. Just to, but once he proved his point, he gave that up. But generally, that was his kind of very bring it on approach to criticism. We have kind of, I think time is up. But we'll be here if somebody wants to ask.
One more request. Which of Maharaja's compositions that he sang is your favorite?
My favorite.
And sing a few lines from it, please. Yourself.
आज आए श्याम मोहन रास मंडल खेलने आज this is Sri Krishna coming for Rasa Leela. बांसुरी की धुन भी लागे तान तनन तुम ननुम बाजे ताल मृदंग की धुन त्रिकुटत किटतक त्रिकुटत तुम आज. In fact, many of Maharaja's compositions will have the word Murali Ganam about Krishna, which is Balamuralikrishna's signature also. And with my obsession for him, he used to say, Maharaja also, he also liked Murali Ganam.
Yes, I think it's time now. A distinguished friend of mine who has studied Balamuralikrishna's music for several years has summarized Murali Galam as like this. I just want to read out a few lines to you. Those who adore Balamuralikrishna blindly are those who are merely attracted by the form of his music and do not give the much needed attention to the content of the music. Ironically, it is also true that those who dislike him blindly do so for the same reason of the form of the music and again without giving the much needed attention to the content of his music.